Done. No? Sure. Ready. So good morning. We continue professional negligence. In last lecture yesterday, we talked about the definition. Can you hear me? Yesterday we talked about definition of negligence, medical negligence, what is meant by due care, and what is the breach of standard of care, types of negligence, then what is civil negligence, and what are the elements required to prove court of law that the doctor is negligent. So things are there. One is a duty. So existence of duty is must. Second is dereliction, that is a lack of care and skill. Third thing is the damage. Yes. Third thing is the damage, that is the actual suffering of the patient, physical or mental, must be there, and the act of a doctor is directly responsible for that damage. That is a direct causation. So 4Ds are important. Burden of proof lies on the patient. And these are some examples we talked about for a compensation. What are the damage and damages which constitute injury? If there is no damage, doctor cannot be sued. The patient cannot sue the doctor for the negligence. Then the liability. So how the this suffering or the negligence is measured, and how the amount of compensation is decided. These are the few examples like loss of earning, expenses incurred, then reduction in expectation of life, pain and suffering, loss of potency, etc., etc. When we talked about that, the case must be filed within 2 years from the date of alleged negligence. So for the error of judgment and error of diagnosis, the doctor is not held negligent. Then we talked about some examples of medical negligence: failure to obtain a consent, failure to examine the patient, etc., etc. This yesterday we discussed, and this is most important. That is, when you are performing some treatment which is beneficial to the patient, but you are not competent to perform that procedure, or that procedure is unauthorized, then though it is beneficial to the patient, it may relieve the suffering of the patient, then also it is considered as an assault, or it will be considered as a negligence. Doctor is not liable for the error of judgment when he secured all the necessary data. So for making a diagnosis, if you are applying your knowledge and skill, you are advising the required investigation, and then you are having the wrong diagnosis, or there is an error in the judgment diagnosis, then the doctor is not held liable. Failure to cure or for bad result, the doctor is not liable or not held negligent for that act. When you are attending the patient on behalf of the third person, then also it is not a negligent act. Some doctrine of res ipsa loquitur. So this is a very commonly asked viva question. What do you mean by res ipsa loquitur? So the thing or the fact speak for itself. So there is no need to produce the evidences for the negligent act. The fact itself proves it. This is applied when the following three conditions are fulfilled. That is, in the absence of negligence, the injury would not have occurred ordinarily. Second thing is the doctor had an exclusive control over the injury producing instrument or equipments. And the third one is the plaintiff, means the patient must not contribute to his own injury. So when these three conditions are fulfilled, then this doctrine of res ipsa loquitur is applicable. So patient need not to prove the negligence where this rule is applicable. Example of res ipsa loquitur is the failure to give the anti-tetanic serum, that is not immunize the patient. So itself the medical record reflects that the patient was not immunized or the serum was not given. Prescribing the overdose of the medicine. So prescription itself proves the negligent act of a doctor. Giving the poisonous medicine on your medical record, it reflects. Blood transfusion misadventure, so it was not matched. Again, there is no need to produce the proof for it. Then failure to remove the swab during the operation. Again, so these are some example where the things speak for itself that the act of a doctor is a negligent. This is applicable both in civil and criminal negligence. So mainly the medical negligence is of two types: civil negligence and the criminal negligence. In civil negligence, the case is filed in the civil court and the punishment is the in terms of money, the whatever the damage is measured, and it is compensated in terms of money. While in criminal negligence, there is a provision of the punishment, that is a imprisonment and or fine. So this doctrine of res ipsa loquitur cannot be applied against the several defendants. So it is applied against the only one person. Next is the calculated risk. So injury occur even though the reasonable care has been taken. That is an unavoidable risk in a particular treatment is a calculated risk. So while we are operating the patient, so it is a calculated risk or unavoidable risk that there will be a chances of a wound infection, that is or the wound dehiscence. So this is a calculated risk or this is an unavoidable risk. So this doctrine is an important defense to any doctor. So this is one of the defense available for the doctor when there is a suit is filed against the practitioner. He can produce some statistical data in his defense that the accepted method of treatment what he employed had an unavoidable risk. So you can produce such a literature, textbook or any publication related with that will suggest that this kind of complication cannot be avoidable in that particular treatment or procedure. So this is one of the defense available. Next is the doctrine of common knowledge. This is nothing but the common sense, application of the common sense. When the patient with dehydration comes to you, so instead of going technically regarding the IV fluid, so to give the IV fluid is the common sense in case of dehydration or hypotension. If you are not having further any facilities available at your center, so this is a common sense. So don't think about that which IV fluid is beneficial, RL or NAS or DNAS, etc., etc. The common sense is to give the IV fluid immediately. So this is a doctrine of the common knowledge or the common sense. So this is based on the assumption that the issue of the negligence in the particular case is not related to the technical matter which are within the knowledge of the medical profession. Lack of application of common sense is here. So failure to give the fluid in case of dehydration. So this is an example of this doctrine of common knowledge. The patient must prove the causative act or omission, but he need not produce or prove evidences to establish standard of care. अरे यार क्या हो जा रहा है बार बार. Then medical maloccurrence. So in spite of good medical care and attention, the individual may not respond properly or may suffer from some adverse reaction of that drug. And this occurs because of the biological variation. So commonly we call it as a person is sensitive to that particular drug. So sensitivity test one should perform before injecting any drug to the patient. And the adverse reaction or when the patient is not responding to the treatment, this is because of the biological variation, that is a medical maloccurrence. Accident is an unpredictable event resulting in a recognizable injury. That is, we talked about the breaking of needle during the IM injection due to sudden muscular spasm. Then this is again a viva question. What is the doctrine of novus actus interveniens? So here the person means the doctor is responsible not only for his action but also for the logical consequences of those actions. That is a novus actus interveniens. For this plea of this novus actus interveniens, the element of negligence is essential. That is the living example is the leaving of swab or failure to remove the swab during the operation. So this was about the civil negligence. Now we'll talk about the criminal negligence. So question of criminal negligence arises when the doctor shows the gross absence of skill or care during the treatment which result into the serious injury or the death of the patient by the act of commission and omission. This is applicable everywhere. Either the patient may suffer the injury or damage because of act of commission, because of performing something, or because of not performing something, which is indicated in that situation. So there is a gross absence of skill or care. This is the first criteria for criminal negligence, when the patient suffers a serious injury or the death. Second is when the doctor is perform an illegal act. Means you are violating the act, then that is a criminal negligence, though that procedure is beneficial to the patient. If you are performing an abortion after 20 weeks, then that is an illegal act, though that procedure will benefit the patient. Next one is when the assaulted person dies, the defense may attribute the death due to negligence or due to undue interference in the treatment. So this is very commonly happen in our country. So whenever there is a death occurred in case of RTA or in case of any accident in a company or factory, anywhere, when the patient is brought to the hospital and when the patient is declared dead, most of the time the allegations are the patient died because of the patient was not attended in time, or because of negligent act of a doctor, or because of undue interference by the doctor. So these are the things where this cases of criminal negligence are registered against the doctor. So here the liability, criminal liability, when the negligence of the accused, means the accused here, doctor is the accused here, went beyond the matter of compensation, when that particular case cannot be considered for compensation, that is beyond the matter of compensation, then this is applicable, criminal liabilities applicable. And when the doctor shows, accused means the doctor, when the doctor or the RMP show disregard for the life and safety of the other as amount to the crime against the state or conduct deserving punishment. So 304A IPCs deals with the criminal negligence. So section 304A is IPC related with the criminal negligence, and doctor is punished as per this IPC. So this is very commonly asked MCQ and the Viva question. Which IPC is related with the criminal negligence? So what is 304A IPC? So whoever causes the death of any person by doing any rash or negligent act not amounting to culpable homicide shall be punished with the imprisonment up to 2 years or with fine or both. So this is a 304A IPC. There is a case going on against the Salman Khan under this 304A IPC. When he crushed few people's roadside by his car. The same thing is applicable for the doctor, that is a rash and negligent act. When the doctor shows the disregard for the life and safety of the other, that is a rash and negligent act. Now the example of criminal negligence, the amputation of the wrong finger or the wrong limb, or on the wrong patient, leaving the swab instrument in the abdomen. So not in every case when there is a doctor failed to remove the swab after the repair from the any cavity. If that matter is beyond the compensation, then only when the patient suffers a serious injury or a death occurred, then only the criminal negligence is applicable. Otherwise, it is compensated in terms of money. Incompetent administration of the anesthesia, performing criminal abortion, mismanagement of delivery. These are the few examples. But remember, in every case, the merits are different. These are the examples which are also example of the civil negligence also. It depends upon the severity, what the patient actually suffering these damages, which are serious or that causes the death. That only decide whether this can be considered as a criminal negligence or it can be considered as a civil negligence. But violation of the law is 100% criminal negligence. But remember, 4 things are required to prove the doctor is a negligent. One is the duty, dereliction, damage, and direct causation. Criminal negligence is it is a more serious than the civil negligence. So prosecution must prove all the facts to establish the civil negligence and gross negligence and disregard for the life and safety of the other. Contributory negligence is not a defense in the criminal negligence. So contributory negligence is one of the defense available for the doctor in case of a civil negligence, but not in case of the criminal negligence. So how to investigate the case of negligence? So note the circumstances in which the death occurred, first thing. Second thing is the facilities available for the treatment in that hospital. So what are the facilities available? What was the condition of the patient? Whether that hospital is having a facility to treat such emergencies or such patient, and what are the likely complications or the known complication associated with the treatment of such patient, and whether the hospital is having that much equipment and the competent staff to treat the complication if that occurs. So check this facility, note the circumstances. Next is the sample must be collected, that is a sample of drug or the IV fluids. It should be collected and sent for the laboratory testing to exclude the adulteration or contamination, and what was the chemical composition of that drug. So sometimes there is a manufacturing defect is there, and also if there is a manufacturing defect, if the drug is contaminated from the source of production, or it is adulterated, or the chemical composition is not appropriate as mentioned on the label, then the doctor is not negligent for giving that drug. So the manufacturer is the negligent in that case. So it should be rule out that whether that drug or any IV fluid was contaminated or adulterated or having the same chemical formula as mentioned on the label. Then the statement of the witnesses should be taken, so the relatives or the other hospital staff or your subordinate nursing staff or who is engaged involved in your treatment team, the statement of such persons should be taken. Then the team of the doctor should conduct the autopsy. So there is then advise the autopsy, and the team will perform this autopsy. Means more than one person, 2, 3, 4, that depends upon the head of department of that where the autopsy is conducted. Then impartial expert in the same field should study the case. So if that case is of surgery, then the same whole the medical record and the facts are handed over to that expert. So he will study that case, what are the circumstances, and prima facie the doctor is negligent or not. What are the causes of this increased litigation against the doctor on the ground of medical negligence? So there are various causes. Some causes are related with the doctor itself. We are responsible for the increased litigation against us because of we are not having a proper communication skill. So poor and ineffective communication skill is responsible for this increased litigation against the doctor on the ground of medical negligence. So communication skill is the most important. You must explain everything to your patient before operating or before doing any procedure. Explain the prognosis, take the consent, explain all the fact on paper also. You can take a video recording of this, all the things when you are explaining the fact to the patient. So this is important, that communication skill. Because of poor and ineffective communication skill, there is an increase in litigation against the doctor. Second is the rude behavior. So when you are not talking properly with your patient or the relatives of the patient, so when some complication occur, so they are not happy with your behavior, so definitely they are going for this, filing a case against you. Lack of consent. So whenever you are doing anything in emergency only, without consent you can perform any procedure that is beneficial to the patient. But in a non-emergency situation, one must take the consent. Otherwise, this is a ground for filing the litigation against you. Lack of documentation. So if you are not maintaining your medical record properly, then also this leads to the case of negligence. So we are responsible for this thing. We are giving the weapon in their hand by our improper behavior, improper communication skill. We are failed to take the consent, or we are not maintaining the medical record properly. Second is the patient related, that is unrealistic expectation of cure. So that's why on daily basis one must explain the prognosis time to time to the relatives, and it should be reflected on your medical record as well. So this can save you. Frequent self-destructive behavior. So many times the patient are not following your instruction regarding diet or the lifestyle or the drugs. Increasing awareness of the rights. So in our country, the people are more aware about their rights than their responsibilities. So they are filing the case. Next is the media related. That is biased publicity of the negligent suit. So now this electronic media is very fast, and it may destroy your career also, because very immediately, without investigating a case in detail, they start showing breaking news, Darinder Neli Masoom ki jaan, like that. So media related is also there, because sometimes it is a purposefully to spoil the career of someone, or they are showing on the whatever the fact favorable to them, whatever the reason is there. But the media is also sometimes responsible for this thing of negligence. Then economic reasons causes are the increased cost of medical care, then the payment by the insurance companies. So insurance companies also they are looking for any loophole, and they create a query, that is, this act was wrong, or this thing is wrong, this drug was prescribed wrongly in this patient, like that, whatever the XYZ reason. And when the company is not giving the reimbursement to the patient, then the patient automatically files the case in court of law. And the social causes are the mobile population. So the population is moving from one place to another for the job purpose. So there is a no rapport between the doctor and patient. Consumer rights. So Consumer Protection Act is there. General increase in the litigation. And the attorney related is the lack of experience. So whenever any patient take the advice of any lawyer, so immediately he advise to will file the case and will get the compensation. So these are the causes. So doctor related, patient related, social, economical, attorney related, media related. So because of this, there is an increase in the litigation against the doctor on the ground of medical negligence. Now, what is the difference between a civil negligence and criminal negligence? So in civil negligence, the offense, no clear or specific violation of the law, while in case of criminal negligence, there is a violation of the particular law is there. In civil negligence, negligence is a simple absence of care or skill, while in criminal negligence, there is a gross negligence or lack of competence. In civil negligence, contributory negligence is a good defense. Means the patient is also partly responsible for the whatever the damage caused to him, in addition to the negligence of the doctor. That is a contributory. 50-50. Both the patient and the doctor are negligent, and that causes the injury. So this can be used as a defense in case of civil negligence, but this is not a defense available in case of criminal negligence. Consent for act is again a good defense available in case of civil negligence, while the consent is not available as a defense in case of criminal negligence. Trial is conducted by the civil court in civil negligence, by the criminal court in criminal negligence. Evidence, a strong evidence is sufficient to prove the civil negligence. In term of percentage, the 51 is the okay to prove that the doctor was a negligent in case of civil negligence case, while in criminal negligence the guilt must be proved beyond a doubt. So like in all the other criminal cases, the trial is conducted or the evidences are required, beyond doubt is required to consider someone is guilty for that criminal act. So in terms of percentage, 98 to 99% it must be proved. Punishment is liable to pay the damage in the civil case, while in criminal case, imprisonment and the fine. Conduct of the physician. So act of a physician in civil negligence, it is compared to the general accepted standard. While in criminal negligence, this is not compared. Then what is the difference between a civil and so difference between professional negligence and the infamous conduct. So offense in professional negligence is the absence of care and skill, while in infamous conduct there is a violation of code of medical ethics. That is a disgraceful, dishonorable act of a doctor. Duty of care should be present. So 4 Ds are required in case of professional negligence: duty, dereliction, damage and the direct causation. So duty of care should be present in professional negligence, while in infamous conduct need not be present. Damage should be present in negligence, it is need not be present in infamous conduct. Trial in professional negligence conducted by civil or criminal court, while in infamous conduct state medical council or the medical council of India. Punishment in case of professional negligence is imprisonment or fine, while in infamous conduct, erasure of the name for temporary period or permanent or a warning notice. Appeal in case of professional negligence can be made in a higher court, while in case of infamous conduct, appeal can be made to the state or the central government. Now, defensive medicine, this is a term indicate that nowadays, because of this increased litigation and the peoples are more aware about their rights, so doctor is prescribing, most of the practitioners are prescribing maximum investigation to avoid the charges of negligence. So defensive medicine is ordering every test or x-ray or investigation on a patient. We have a good background of the data. That is the clinical data. So this is actually not good for every patient because it increases the cost also. But sometimes it is a beneficial. But because of increased litigation against the doctor, most of the doctors are now doing this defensive medicine. What are the preventions or the precautions to avoid the negligence, the charges of negligence? So establish the good rapport with your patient or patient's relative, your colleagues and your or paramedical staff. If you are having a good rapport, then the person there, the chances of filing a case against you is minimized, because the patient or the relatives or your team is having a faith in you. Second is the rational. Doctor should use all the available relevant information. So, advise the investigation which is relevant, rational, as per the situation. Third is the maintain the medical record. That is accurate, complete and legible. We will discuss medical record in detail. This is a very important thing, and that is the only medical record is the thing which can save the doctor in case of negligence cases. This is the only thing can save you. Remember. So we'll discuss in detail about the medical record. So one should maintain the medical record properly, take the consent before doing any procedure. Then one must develop a hospital injury prevention program. So that is one kind of audit. So one team should be appointed to look for the whatever the accident occurred in the hospital during the treatment, and take some protective measure, use the measure to avoid such accident in future. So that is a audit, that is a clinical audit or the death audit also can be performed. Respect, treat the patient as the physician would wish himself, or means with dignity. Patient should be treated in privacy, whatever the rights we discussed, rights of the patient. So accordingly, the with respect, the patient must be treated in a safe environment. Then risk must be informed to the patient, whatever the inherent risk or the material risk associated with the treatment or the condition of the patient. Maintain a good record on accident, suicide, means whatever the misadventure occurred in your hospital, either that is because of a medical maloccurrence, means perform the sensitivity test whenever is required. So you must have a good record of this, all these things. Continuing education. So doctors should be attend the CME programs regularly to update the knowledge, whatever the what are the recent advances in the treatment. Participated in the medical legal seminars. Advise the investigation which are required, indicated, rational, immunize the patient, perform sensitivity test. The female patient must be examined in presence of third person. Then take the second opinion whenever is required. Never guarantee a cure. So don't give overconfident prognosis. Don't explain the overconfident prognosis to the patient or the relatives. Do not criticize the professional ability of another doctor. So don't comment on your colleague. Means negative remark. Avoid giving a negative remark. Instead of that, you just say, then do not order the prescription on telephone. Yes. Do not order the prescription on telephone, because sometimes there is a misinterpretation of the things which you prescribe. Instead of that, you can send a text message. That would be better. Instead of giving a oral prescription on the telephone, give the text message. Send the text message. Transfer the patient if the facilities are inadequate in your hospital. Frequently check the condition of the equipment used in your hospital. So at the regular interval, because the wear and tear occur because of the continuous use of the same equipment over a period of time. So change the equipment or repair the equipment in time, because such faulty equipment may cause the damage to the patient while you are performing any procedure. Then proper instruction should be given, so all the duties of the doctor must be performed properly, proper post-operative care, etc., etc. So these are the precautions one must take to avoid the negligence. Now, what are the defenses available against the negligence? So first thing is the 4 things. You prove that the doctor was not having any duty towards the patient. So non-existence of the duty. If this thing is proved, then the later on things is no need to prove. Second thing is the dereliction. That is a duty, means the whatever the duty discharge of the services provided to the patient were as per the standard or by the acceptable, as per the acceptable practices or the methods. So there was no experimentation on the patient. Third one is the misadventure. So this is because of the biological variation or the sensitivity. Even though sometimes the sensitivity test is performed, yes, yes. Muskan Yadav, you are having some problem? So though sometimes though the sensitivity test is performed, some adverse reaction may also occur, that is called as a misadventure, that is an accident. After taking all the precaution and the care, some damage. Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Then error. Muskan Yadav. Muskan Yadav. You are having some problem? Then the error of judgment. Error of judgment, that is the error in diagnosis or the error in the treatment after all the precautions, when all the precautions are taken. That is called as a medical maloccurrence. Then the contributory negligence, this is applicable in cases of civil negligence only, it is not applicable in contributory negligence when the patient is also partly responsible for the damages what is suffered. Then the res judicata and the limitation, that is if the case is not filed within 2 years from the date of alleged negligence, then this cannot be entertained on any ground. So these are the differences available for the doctor in case of when the allegations of negligence against the doctors are filed in a court of law. So res judicata, if the question of negligence against the doctor has already been decided by the court, the patient will not be allowed to contest the same question in another proceeding between himself and the doctor. This is a res judicata. So suppose previously also some case was filed against the doctor on the ground of negligence with the same circumstances, and if in that matter the court decided whatever the acquittal or the punishment, whatever the things is happened in that previous case, so in the next case which is filed by the another patient, this matter cannot be raised to prove that the doctor who is a habitual in performing such a negligent act, that is a res judicata. So matter whatever previously decided by the court of law cannot be raised in the next proceeding. That is a res judicata, that is a IPC 300, and limitation is a 2 year from the date of alleged negligence. So if the case is filed after the 2 years, the doctor is having a defense that this case is filed beyond the permissible time. So these are the evidences. So this is about the professional negligence. This is the most important thing. Remember, for your future practice point of view, the cases of negligence litigations are increased against the doctors, and day by day it is increasing. So we are knowing what are the causes related to the doctor, related to the patient. So, and what are the precautions available? What things you can, how means you can prevent the such litigation in future. So follow all these things. So there will be a least chances of litigation against you, because a single litigation can spoil the career. Remember, whatever the court will decide after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever the time will require, we don't know that exact time period required to give the judgment or verdict in particular case. But for that period, for that 2 year, 4 year, 5 year, whatever the period the trial will be going on, you will suffer the most, mentally, financially, and by all the way. It will disturb your personal life, family life, professional life. So to avoid such a litigation is the best